My sister faked panic attacks to ruin every milestone in my life, so I kicked my family out of my wedding and exposed their lies. On the happiest day of my life, I chose to keep my own parents and sister away. Some say I was selfish, others say I was brave. But after years of my milestones being stolen, I wanted one day that was mine alone. Now I can't stop asking myself, did I go too far? Or finally do the right thing? I, 23, married my partner, Leander, 33, last month. But I did not invite my parents or my younger sister Ophelia, 28, to the wedding. Now, half of my family calls me selfish and harsh. I need to know whether I made the right decision or went too far. Let me explain why I took this decision. When I was 15, my sister Ophelia was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Doctors believed it was treatable with medicine and therapy. Nothing life-threatening or really debilitating. But since that day, everything in our house has focused around Ophelia and her mental health. When I was 17, I realized there was something wrong. I had spent months preparing to audition for the school play. It was the lead role in Romeo and Juliet, and I desperately wanted to play Juliet. My parents promised to drive me to the audition and wait for me. Ophelia stated on the morning of the audition that she was experiencing a panic attack and wanted to go to the emergency room immediately. My parents took her to the hospital, leaving me at home. I missed the audition entirely. Later that evening, my grandma called to ask about Ophelia. During the talk, she recounted seeing Ophelia at the mall earlier that day, laughing with companions while carrying shopping bags. When I asked my parents about it, they said Ophelia must have felt better after her medical visit, but the audition had already gone. My grandparents flew in from across the nation to celebrate my 20th birthday. We had organized a large gathering at a great restaurant. My parents had ordered a personalized cake with my photo on it, and I'd invited all of my friends. Ophelia stated 2 hours before the party that she was experiencing significant anxiety due to an approaching test and required quick medical assistance. My parents transported Ophelia to urgent care in the car that was carrying my dessert. The party continued on without them. My grandparents paid for everything and tried to make it memorable, but I spent the most of the evening wondering if Ophelia was all right. When my parents arrived home at midnight, I discovered that Ophelia had been given minimal anxiety medicine and was released after 20 minutes. They ate my personalized birthday cake in the hospital waiting area because Ophelia said she was hungry. The tendency persisted throughout high school. My senior year, I captained the debate team, and we advanced to the state championships. Ophelia suffered from a mental health crisis on the morning of the tournament, according to my parents. She claimed she couldn't handle being alone and required constant supervision. Rather than watch me compete, my parents chose to stay at home with her. We won first place, but no one in my family was around to see it. I was accepted into a good institution on a partial scholarship, but my parents indicated they couldn't help with the remaining expenses. They explained that they were conserving money for Ophelia's future treatment and medical expenditures. I worked 2 jobs throughout college to pay for my education and earned a degree in accounting. Meanwhile, Ophelia dropped out of community college twice because she felt the stress was too much for her mental health. When I graduated from college, I particularly asked my parents to attend the ceremony. I purchased aircraft tickets and reserved seats for them. Ophelia called them the night before her graduation, weeping. She claimed she was suffering a breakdown after seeing a social media post regarding college graduations, which aroused her anxiety. My parents flew back quickly to be with her. I walked across the stage alone while my roommate's family cheered in the audience. After graduating, I found a job with a reputable accounting business in another city. I worked hard and was promoted to senior accountant within 4 years. When I called to tell her the news, my mother spent 4 minutes congratulating me before shifting the subject to Ophelia's recent therapeutic breakthrough. She spoke about Ophelia's progress for 25 minutes. Around this time, Leander and I met at a professional meeting. He worked for a different accounting firm, and we began dating. His family greeted me instantly. His mother remembered my birthday without being reminded. His father inquired about my work projects and actively listened to my responses. His sister gave me a card after I received another promotion. They celebrated my accomplishments without making them about anyone else. After 3 years together, Leander proposed. We chose to have a small wedding with only close family and friends. As we finalized the guest list, I began to have panic attacks over inviting my parents and Ophelia. I kept picturing Ophelia having a crisis during the ceremony, or my parents leaving halfway through to care for her. Leander recommended we go over all the big events Ophelia has disturbed throughout the years. We produced a list, and it was far longer than I thought. Ophelia had emergencies at my high school graduation, college graduation, birthday parties, promotion celebration dinner, and even a weekend visit with my parents, which Leander and I had planned. Every significant event in my adult life had been clouded by Ophelia's mental health. Leander asked what I wanted to do. I told him I wanted one day just for us, with no drama or emergencies. We chose not to invite my parents or Ophelia to the wedding. I called a few aunts and uncles to inform them and requested them not to reveal any information about the wedding date or place. The wedding was amazing. Leander's father escorted me down the aisle because my own father was not present. Leander's mother helped me get dressed and did my hair. We had 50 visitors who came to celebrate with us. No one departed early. Nobody had a medical emergency. For the first time in years, I was the center of attention at my own party. 3 days after the wedding, my cousin shared images on social media. My parents noticed them and promptly called me. They left 15 voicemails and sent many text messages. My mother described me as ungrateful and selfish. My father claimed I humiliated them in front of their extended family. They claimed to have been good parents who gave everything for their girls, particularly Ophelia, who required additional support. Ophelia sent me a lengthy note claiming that I had wrecked the family and led her to have a severe anxiety attack that landed her in the hospital. She complained that I was cruel for omitting her from such an important day, especially because her mental health had recently improved. Several aunts and uncles called to lecture me on family loyalty. They claimed that mental illness was not Ophelia's fault and that I should be more tolerant. They emphasized that my parents did their utmost to support both of us, and that Ophelia actually requires assistance. A few cousins have stopped speaking with me completely, but several family members have been supportive. My grandma stated she knows why I took this decision, but she wishes everything had been different. One of my uncles stated that he had noticed the pattern over time, and that it was unfair to me. Now I'm wondering if I was incorrect. Perhaps I should have given my family another chance. Maybe Ophelia was genuinely sick all those times, and I'm being overly harsh. My parents made many sacrifices for Ophelia over the years, and mental illness is a legitimate medical issue. Maybe I was selfish for putting my own happiness before of Ophelia's, but I remember how peaceful my wedding day was. For once, I did not spend the entire occasion worrying about another person's crisis. I was able to focus solely on marrying the person I love, with no distractions or controversy. Leander and I were able to fully enjoy our celebration. I've been married for a month, and my parents still don't speak to me. Ophelia occasionally texts me, asking when I plan to apologize and make things right. The rest of the family is divided, with some defending me and others believing I went too far. I need honest feedback from folks who don't know my family. Was it bad of me to exclude them from my wedding? Should I have handled things differently? Am I being cruel to Ophelia and my parents, or was this the best decision for my mental health and marriage? Update 1. I'd want to thank everyone who replied to my first post. Strangers' encouragement helped me realize that I was not alone in noticing a trend in my family's conduct. Some others mentioned something called medical trauma, which provided me a new perspective on my childhood experiences. Much has happened since I last updated. First, my parents upped their efforts to get me to apologize. My mother called Leander's employer and informed his manager that he had snatched their daughter and turned her against her family members. She inquired about the company's policy on employees who break up families. Leander's employer was perplexed and informed my mother that personal family affairs were not the company's responsibility. My father began phoning Leander personally, leaving messages about how I had always been a difficult child who required additional patience. He claimed Leander had no idea what they had been through raising Ophelia, and that I had exaggerated everything to make myself look like a victim. He requested Leander to persuade me to reconcile with them. The most upsetting thing was when my mother contacted Leander's mother and cried because they had lost their daughter. She said I had shut them off without notice and refused to explain why. Leander's mother, a retired social worker, listened intently before asking some questions about our family background. When Leander's mother inquired about specific events, such as graduations and birthdays, my mother became defensive. She said that Ophelia's mental health needed sacrifices from everyone in the family, and that I was overreacting to a few missed occasions. Leander's mother pointed out that missing every key milestone in a child's life involved more than simply a few events. My mother accused Leander's family of poisoning me in front of my own parents, which ended the conversation horribly. Leander's mother later informed me that my mother hung up on her when she argued that parents should be entitled to attend their children's graduations without being denied. But the biggest surprise came from my cousin Jessica, 26F, who lives in the same city as my parents. She called me last week with unexpected information. Jessica informed me she had been thinking about my wedding plans and remembered something unusual from when we were teenagers. She stated that she had always felt Ophelia's timing for her emergency was odd, but she never said anything because mental illness is meant to be unpredictable. Then Jessica told me about an incident that occurred when I was 17. It was the night of my senior prom. I'd saved money from my part-time work to buy a dress and get my hair professionally done. My date was the guy I'd been crushing on for a year, and he had finally asked me. Ophelia began experiencing what my parents described as a serious panic attack 2 hours before the prom. She claimed she couldn't breathe and felt as if she was dying. My parents hurried her to the emergency room and told me they'd attempt to return in time for photos. They never returned, and I ended up attending prom with my date's family, who took photos of us. Jessica explained that she had been working at the movie theater that night and had seen Ophelia with her boyfriend at the time I was supposed to be taking pre-prom photos. Ophelia was eating popcorn and appeared perfectly normal. Jessica found that weird, but imagined Ophelia had healed quickly and my parents had granted her permission to go out. Jessica never told me about it since she didn't want to cause family conflict. But after hearing about my wedding, she began to wonder how many other times Ophelia's remarkable recoveries corresponded with crucial moments in my life. This information impacted me harder than I anticipated. I had always considered that Ophelia's panic attacks were genuine, despite the inconvenient timing. Learning that she was out having fun while I missed my senior prom made me reconsider everything. I decided to review Ophelia's social media posts over the years. What I discovered was disturbing. On the day of my college graduation, when she was supposed to be having a breakdown about graduation triggers, she posted images of herself at a music festival. The timing indicated that she was posting at the precise same time that my parents were traveling home to care for her. When she suffered the panic attack that disrupted my 20th birthday party, she had checked into a restaurant across town with her pals 2 hours later. The location tag indicated she was present at the time my parents stated she was too anxious to be left alone. I discovered at least 6 such instances in which Ophelia's social media behavior contradicted the emergency that had disrupted my events. She was often out having fun with her buddies, looking happy and normal. I took screenshots of everything and gave them to Leander. He was quiet for a long time after reviewing the evidence. Then he inquired if I felt Ophelia was faking her mental health problem to destroy my special days. I didn't want to think my own sister could be that calculated and vicious, but the evidence was right there in her own social media posts. She had been lying about medical issues for years, and my parents had either been duped or had helped her. This realization altered my perspective on my entire childhood and adolescence. It wasn't simply terrible luck or lousy timing. Ophelia had purposefully destroyed my accomplishments and celebrations. My parents had encouraged her behavior by never questioning her quick recoveries or convenient scheduling. I chose to approach Ophelia directly. I phoned her and asked her why she was posting from a music festival during my college graduation, when she was supposed to be having a mental health crisis. She remained silent for nearly a full minute. Then Ophelia burst into tears, accusing me of hitting her while she was already struggling. She stated that her social media posts did not convey the full story, and that she frequently forced herself to go out despite suffering panic attacks. She said I was being unkind by questioning her mental instability. But when I brought up the movie theater event from prom night, Ophelia's account fell apart. She couldn't explain why she was eating popcorn and laughing with her partner when she should have been in the ER with a panic attack. Ophelia eventually revealed that she would fake her symptoms when she felt I was receiving too much attention. She claimed it was unfair because I excelled in everything, while she suffered from mental health concerns. She stated that she too deserved support and attention, especially since I was being recognized for accomplishments that came naturally to me. I asked Ophelia whether she realized that her phony emergencies had forced me to miss important life events that I would never get back. She claimed that my events were not more essential than her mental health requirements, even though she had exaggerated at times. The talk ended when Ophelia accused me of being a bad sister who never supported her mental health journey. She said that I was using a few social media posts to invalidate years of true worry and sadness. After we hung up, I realized Ophelia had not apologized for anything. She had not admitted the agony her falsehoods had caused me. Instead, she attempted to make me the villain for exposing her dishonesty. I haven't spoken to my parents since learning about Ophelia's bogus emergencies. Part of me wants to offer them the evidence and see what they say, but another part of me believes they already knew the truth and decided to prioritize Ophelia. Anyway, Leander believes I should concentrate on constructing our life together rather than attempting to persuade my family to realize what they did to me. He points out that even if they accepted everything, it would not compensate me for my missed graduations or wrecked prom night. I've been remaining off social media and not responding to communications from extended family members. Some of them are still urging me to reconcile with my parents, claiming that family members should forgive each other no matter what. But I'm not convinced forgiveness is possible if the other party refuses to admit they did anything wrong. Right now, I'm concentrating on my marriage and profession. Leander and I are looking at houses in a new city, after his company offered him a promotion. The prospect of starting over somewhere new away from all of the family strife sounds enticing. Update 2, I didn't want to make another update. But something significant occurred that I believe those who have followed my story should be aware of. Last month, Leander and I relocated to Denver for his job promotion. We acquired a little house and were adjusting to our new life. I was feeling better about the wedding situation and began to worry less about my family's reaction. Then my Aunt Carol, 54 female, my mother's sister, contacted me unexpectedly. Carol had been one of the family members that pushed me to reunite with my parents. She had left me multiple voicemails following the wedding, calling me stubborn and selfish. Carol's voice sounded different this time. She explained that she needed to tell me something vital regarding Ophelia and my parents. She asked if I could meet her for coffee while she was in Denver for work the next week. Carol had never supported me before, which made me cautious. But curiosity got the best of me, so I decided to meet her. Carol appeared apprehensive as she arrived at the coffee shop, constantly checking her phone. She told me that she had been cleaning up her late mother's house and discovered something that altered her perception of my family situation. Carol took out a shoebox filled with old letters and cards. She explained that my grandma had kept all letters from family members for decades. The majority of it consisted of dull family updates and holiday cards. But Carol had discovered a collection of letters my mother had written to my grandma over the years. The letters began when Ophelia was first diagnosed with anxiety and lasted throughout high school and college. Carol gave me one of the letters from when I was 14. I read in my mother's handwriting about Ophelia's jealousy of my academic accomplishments and social standing. My mother stated that Ophelia began experiencing panic episodes whenever I brought home good grades or was asked to gatherings. The letter added that Ophelia's therapist had suggested that she may be unconsciously scheduling her anxiety bouts to correspond with my triumphs. My mother noted that the therapist suggested family counseling to deal with sibling rivalry and attention-seeking behaviors. But the most stunning thing was what my mother wrote next. She explained that she and my father had opted against pursuing family therapy because it would be too expensive and time-consuming. Instead, they chose to offer Ophelia extra attention during her episodes to make her feel more safe. My mother's letter specifically said that she was aware that Ophelia's panic attacks were exacerbated when I was celebrated for something. Rather than confronting this trend, my mother chose to accommodate it by ensuring Ophelia received equal or greater attention throughout my accomplishments. Carol handed me another letter from my final year in high school. My mother wrote about Ophelia's prom night panic attack, noting that she recovered fast and went to watch a movie afterwards. My mother knew Ophelia was well enough to go out, but she didn't come back to take prom pictures with me because she didn't want Ophelia to feel excluded. There were letters for my college graduation, advancements, and even my engagement announcement. My mother admitted in each letter that Ophelia's timing was questionable, but she always decided to favor Ophelia's emotional demands over my celebrations. The final letter was dated only 4 weeks before my wedding. My mother informed my grandmother that Ophelia was upset over not being asked to be maid of honor. The letter stated that Ophelia planned to have a panic attack at the wedding ceremony to remind everyone that she too needed help. My mother declined to discuss this unacceptable plan with Ophelia. Instead, she stated that she was willing to leave the ceremony early if Ophelia required it, because Ophelia's mental health was more vulnerable than my thoughts about my wedding day. Carol claimed she had read these letters 3 times before calling me. She recognized my parents were not innocent victims of Ophelia's mental condition. They had actively participated in a routine that valued Ophelia's attention-seeking conduct over my actual accomplishments. I asked Carol why she was showing me this now, given how critical she had been of me after the wedding. She stated that reading my mother's own words convinced her that I was telling the truth regarding the sabotage pattern. Carol apologized for not believing me sooner. She remarked that from the outside, my parents appeared to be doing their best to deal with a mentally ill child. She had no idea they were making deliberate choices to allow Ophelia's manipulating behavior. After Carol left, I sat in my car and read all of the letters again. Seeing my mother's sentiments written in her own handwriting was more distressing than I had anticipated. She'd known all along that Ophelia was timing her episodes to mar my wonderful times. She'd decided to reward the behavior rather than halt it. When I arrived home, I showed Leander the letters. He remained quiet for a long time after reading them. Then he apologized for making me see proof of my parents' disregard for my happiness. I decided to make copies of the letters and send them to Ophelia. I included a note asking her to explain why she thought it was okay to plot panic episodes just to ruin my wedding and other activities. Ophelia contacted me 4 days later, shouting and wailing. She claimed that I had no right to have those letters and was invading her privacy by reading them. She maintained that her mental health issues were genuine, even if she occasionally exaggerated them for attention. I asked Ophelia whether she knew that preparing to stage a panic attack during my wedding ceremony was cruel and deceitful. She explained that she did not go through with it since she had not been invited, therefore I should be glad rather than furious. Ophelia then said something that stunned me. She explained that she had always believed that our parents liked me more because I was accomplished and easy to nurture. She said that her anxiety and depression were legitimate medical issues, but she had discovered that having episodes gave her the attention and care she desired. Ophelia said that she never wanted to upset me and that she deserved parental support and celebration as well. She claimed that my accomplishments came easily to me, however her mental health difficulties were hard effort that deserved attention. I informed Ophelia that fabricating medical issues to divert attention away from other people's accomplishments was not a legitimate method to get support. I pointed out that her actions had forced me to miss important events such as graduations and proms. Ophelia stated that the incidents were less essential than her mental health requirements. She told me I was selfish for putting parties and ceremonies ahead of her mental well-being. She accused me of not caring about her problems or helping her recover. Ophelia finished the call by saying she was banning my number and never wanted to talk with me again. She claimed that rather than helping her healing journey, I opted to destroy our family by publicizing private business. I haven't heard from my parents since Carol showed me the letters. I believe Ophelia told them that I have evidence of their enabling actions. Part of me wants to confront them with the letters, but I'm not sure what I'd learn from the talk. Leander believes I should let the whole affair go and concentrate on our new life in Denver. He points out that I now have irrefutable proof that I made the correct decision in not asking them to the wedding. Ophelia had genuinely planned to stage a panic attack at my ceremony, and my parents were ready to accommodate her. I've been debating whether I should send copies of the letters to the extended family members who chastised me for excluding my parents and Ophelia from the wedding. Some of them might reconsider their positions if they understood the truth about Ophelia's deliberate behavior. However, I'm concerned that it will only add to the family's turmoil and divide. The folks who are most important to me already know the truth. Perhaps it is best to allow others to think whatever they wish. Right now, I'm concentrating on adjusting into our new city and making friends with people who are unfamiliar with my family history. It feels good to be with individuals who recognize my accomplishments without qualification or comparison to someone else's requirements. Final update. This will be my last update on the wedding scenario. I wanted to relate what happened because several people have been asking for a conclusion to the story. Ophelia unexpectedly arrived at my Denver home around 3 months ago. I wasn't expecting her and was surprised to see her standing on my porch with 2 suitcases. Ophelia claimed that our parents kicked her out of the house after she argued with them about seeking a job. She claimed they told her she needed to get more independence and stop relying on them for everything. She drove to Denver because she didn't have anywhere else to go. I did not welcome Ophelia in. Instead, I asked her why she believed I would assist her after everything that had occurred. She burst into tears and told us that we were sisters, and that family was supposed to support each other no matter what. Ophelia informed me she had been reflecting on our relationship and understood that some of her behavior over the years had been inappropriate. She offered to work on herself and repair our relationship if I would give her a chance. I particularly asked Ophelia about the planned panic attack at my wedding, which my mother had mentioned in her letter to my grandma. Ophelia agreed to suggesting the idea but claimed she would never have followed through on it. When I pressed Ophelia about all the other fabricated situations over the years, she grew defensive. She admitted that her mental health issues were real, even if she occasionally exaggerated symptoms for attention. She claimed that I was being unfair by focusing on a few incidents rather than appreciating her legitimate medical requirements. Ophelia stated that she was willing to apologize for any suffering she had caused me, but that I must also accept responsibility for abandoning the family when she needed help. She said that cutting off communication harmed her mental health and demonstrated that I did not care about her well-being. I told Ophelia that I did not want to repair our connection. I emphasized that her tendency of sabotaging significant events had permanently damaged my faith in her. I stated that her failure to accept full responsibility for her conduct demonstrated that she had not truly changed. Ophelia became enraged, accusing me of being cruel and carrying grudges. She claimed that I was using her mental condition against her and punishing her for her medical requirements. She claimed that I had always been jealous of the attention she received from our parents. I requested Ophelia vacate my property. She declined, saying she had driven 15 hours to meet me and deserved the opportunity to explain herself. She sat down on my front porch and stated that she would not leave unless I agreed to let her stay with Leander and me temporarily. I had to contact the police to have Ophelia removed from my property. When the authorities arrived, Ophelia explained that I was her sister and that we were having a family disagreement. She claimed that I was harsh and unkind for refusing to assist her when she was homeless. The police told Ophelia that she couldn't stay on someone's property without permission, even if they were kin. They asked whether she had any place else to go, and Ophelia explained that our parents had kicked her out, so I was her only option. One of the cops recommended that Ophelia contact local social services for housing assistance. Ophelia began crying, saying she simply wanted her sister back and didn't understand why I was so cold. After the cops left with Ophelia, I was shaken by the experience. Leander arrived home from work to find me sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. He asked what had happened, and I informed him about Ophelia's sudden visit. Leander was anxious that Ophelia would return or escalate her attempts to reach me. He suggested we put security cameras around the house and seek a restraining order if Ophelia continued to harass us. My father called me 2 weeks later, the first time since the wedding. He explained that Ophelia was staying at a motel and had ran out of money. He asked if I would reconsider assisting her because she was my sister and family should take care of one another. I asked my father if he had read the letters my mother had sent to my grandma about Ophelia's fabricated emergencies. He was quiet for a bit before explaining that those letters were private correspondence that I had no right to access. When I asked my father if he knew Ophelia had planned to stage a panic attack at my wedding, he replied Ophelia's mental health difficulties were complex, and I was oversimplifying the situation. My father believed that Ophelia actually suffered from anxiety and despair, even if she occasionally acted out for attention. He stated that as her family, we should encourage her recovery rather than blame her for her sins. I informed my father that I was done allowing Ophelia's manipulating behavior. I emphasized that her tendency of undermining my accomplishments had harmed me in ways that could not be mended with a simple apology. I said that I was not responsible for resolving issues that he and my mother had caused by supporting Ophelia's attention-seeking conduct. My father became angry and accused me of being selfish and cruel. He explained that Ophelia was truly struggling and required family assistance to get back on her feet. He argued that I was neglecting my responsibilities as a sister and daughter. I explained to my father that Ophelia was an adult who needed to face the consequences of her conduct. I pointed out that she had spent years purposefully damaging my critical moments, and that I was not bound to rescue her from the consequences of her actions. My father closed the conversation by saying that he was ashamed of the person I had become. He informed me that my mother was sad after losing both of her daughters, and that my stubbornness was driving the family apart. I haven't heard from any of my family members since that phone conversation 7 months ago. Leander and I settled into our lives in Denver and met new people through work and neighborhood activities. We joined a hiking group and volunteered at a local animal rescue together. Last month, I was promoted to accounting manager at my company. When I told Leander about my achievement, he took me out to dinner and contacted his parents to congratulate me. His family delivered flowers to my office, and his sister gave me a celebratory note. For the first time in my adult life, I was able to celebrate a professional triumph without fear of someone else's emergency overshadowing it. There were no frantic phone calls reporting panic attacks or medical emergencies that required quick attention. I don't regret excluding my parents and Ophelia from my wedding. My grandmother's letters provided evidence that they had willingly participated in a habit of favoring Ophelia's attention-seeking conduct over my actual achievements. Some people may believe I should have given my family more chances to reform or tried harder to rebuild our connections. However, I've learned that I can't force others to own their wrongdoing, or make restitution for the pain they did. My life is now serene, free of the continual drama and manipulation that characterized my adolescence and young adulthood. Leander and I intend to create a family within the next several years, and I am dedicated to providing a household in which all children feel cherished and appreciated equally. I still think about my family, and wonder what would have happened if my parents had addressed Ophelia's jealousy and attention-seeking behavior when we were younger. But I can't alter the past, and I refuse to allow their dysfunction continue to harm my future happiness. To anyone reading this who sees similar patterns in their own family, I want you to know that your accomplishments are worthy of recognition, without regard for qualification or competition. You are not responsible for controlling other people's emotions or sacrificing your own happiness in order to maintain peace. Sometimes the healthiest option is to create new traditions with individuals who sincerely want to help you succeed. That is what I have done, and I have never been better.